Chicago's budget pre-COVID was $10.6 billion, but under Brandon Johnson, it's $16.6 billion. That's a 66% increase. And here's the kicker. Those COVID funds are gone. A normal person would cut spending and tighten their belt and make tough choices, but not Brandon Johnson. Instead, he's raising taxes and driving out the businesses that are holding on and pretending everything is fine. Chicago isn't growing, it's bleeding money. Will this budget be the final blow?
Johnson wants some Chicago businesses and social media companies to pay for his vision of Chicago's future.
And to help dig the city out of a $1 billion budget hole. WGN political reporter Tamon Bradley live for us at City Hall. Tamon, what's the vision and who's going to pay?
Ben, Ray, despite Chicago's shaky financial picture, Mayor Johnson is doubling down on his investments, presenting a budget he says will protect the city from Trump administration cuts.
This year's budget.
Vowing to challenge the ultra-rich, today Mayor Johnson unveiled a budget relying on cost savings and new taxes on corporations.
The intense and growing wealth inequality is not sustainable, you all, for our city. We cannot separate the immense wealth of the few for the poverty and insecurity of the many.
The mayor's proposal avoids unpopular measures like a property tax hike and a garbage collection fee increase. Instead, the mayor is pursuing what he calls progressive revenue. The mayor proposes bringing back the city's corporate head tax. He calls it a community safety surcharge. Companies with more than 100 employees would pay $21 per person every month. The revenue, $100 million, would be dedicated to anti-violence programs.
Let's take a minute and look at this first one. He wants to bring back a corporate head tax that was sunset under a previous mayor, Rahm Emanuel. Back then, he said this was going to be a job killer. So he wants to bring this back. $21 per employee per month for companies that have over 100 employees. So I went and looked at this. You've got companies like Walgreens, Amazon, and Advocate Health. These companies have anywhere from 4 to as many as 10,000 employees who are in the city of Chicago. This tax that he wants to put on businesses are going to cost these businesses anywhere from $1 million to $2 million per year. So ask yourself, if you were a business owner, would you keep your employees in the city of Chicago just for the privilege of having to pay an additional tax under the mismanagement of this mayor?
The mayor also wants city council to sign off on hiking taxes on cloud computing, boats docked at city harbors, and expanding congestion fees on ride shares. He's also out with a first-of-its-kind social media amusement tax, a new online sports wagering tax, and a tax on hemp.
Cloud computing. This tax is supposed to generate somewhere around $330 million. He's going to be taxing companies like Amazon and Microsoft. So here's what he doesn't understand. There are tens of thousands of data centers throughout the United States. Amazon or Microsoft could just decommission the cloud computing data centers they have in Chicago, circumvent them, and avoid that tax altogether. Why would they continue to pay an additional tax to the city of Chicago? Then he's got a yacht tax. Okay, now he wants to go after people who have boats that are docked in the Chicago harbor. So what does that mean? Either people are going to just dock their boats elsewhere, which they could very easily do. The appearance that he's trying to give to Chicagoans is that, hey, you don't have a yacht. So the people who have yacht, they obviously have extra money. So we're going to go after them. It's just his classic classism warfare that he's trying to do to try and cover up his inability to manage this city. And then he's got the ride share congestion tax. So that's going to be on Uber and on Lyft, or if you're ordering DoorDash or Uber Eats, he wants to charge an additional tax to those individuals. So he's passing that tax on to the very people whom he is saying can't afford it. You know, hemp tax and the online sports wagering tax, again, that's just him just looking for things. But the one that's really interesting right here is his proposed social media amusement tax. This is a tax where he wants to go to companies like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and say, for every person who's a member of your social media company who lives in the city of Chicago, we want to collect 50 cents for every user over the first 100,000. Other places have tried, other states have tried to do this, and they've lost in court. I mean, he really, either he's just surrounded by people who are giving him bad counsel, or he doesn't know what he's doing, or both.
We are asking large corporations and big tech companies that have made trillions of dollars to pitch in a little bit more.
As for cuts, the mayor's team says they've found $200 million in savings across city departments. They also want to extend a citywide hiring freeze, cap overtime for Chicago police officers, and use more civilians for non-beat police work. On pensions, the mayor proposes making a smaller payment on a planned extra pension payment.
So even the cuts that he's offering for the city of Chicago, there's really no shared sacrifice, and that's what people really want to see. He's going to do a hiring freeze. He already has a hiring freeze in place. So he's not going to hire for positions that were listed. He's calling that savings. That's just a shell game. Then he's cutting overtime for CPD. Why does CPD have so much overtime, you ask? Because he refuses to hire additional CPD police officers. If you hire additional police officers, you don't have to have all of that overtime. So he's going to cut overtime, but he's not going to hire additional police officers. That's the very security for the city about which people have the largest complaint, that crime is running rampant. This goes right back to his defund the police ideology that he ran on, but then ran away from when he got called on it. But every opportunity that he has, he tries to take an actual shot at CPD, no pun intended.
And to close the budget gap, now projected to be at $1.19 billion, the mayor wants to refinance old debt and sweep $1 billion of TIF funds, with about half of that going to Chicago public schools. After the address, the mayor's progressive allies sounded upbeat.
The people that we work with, our communities that we are accountable to, they've been pushing for progressive revenue sources for decades.
Other alders say the mayor's budget needs a rewrite.
We need to make sure that we're getting to the efficiencies that are important first for our taxpayers.
We really need to be looking to grow the size of the city. And what is preventing this city from growing is a lack of jobs and a lack of housing.
So Brandon Johnson really is just the classic example of a tax and spend liberal. He's never met a tax that he didn't like. I think he was trying to get an air tax for people to breathe. He was trying to get a walking tax if you walk on city streets. He was trying to get a gum tax. He's tried a bunch of different things. I'm being facetious, but you really can't tell listening to this man, because there's nothing that he won't tax. And he's hiding behind this making trillionaires, making social media companies pay their fair share. Social media companies didn't make trillions of dollars just in the city of Chicago. YouTube has over 3 to 4 billion users globally. They don't owe it to Chicago to take money from other geographies where they're making money to cover up for this mayor's mismanagement and malfeasance. And he's hearing from the business community, and they're saying the exact same thing.
Pitched his $16 billion spending plan to a city council this afternoon.
His plan does not include a property tax hike, but he wants corporations and social media companies to help pay for it.
The Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce says Mayor Brandon Johnson's new budget proposal will make Chicago a less attractive investment. They say they don't see shared sacrifice in his new tax proposals.
Our view is we need to have pro-growth strategies, not job-killing taxes.
Jack Lavin, president and CEO of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, says many businesses have not shaken the setbacks from the pandemic, and the mayor's suggestions won't help.
Especially our restaurants and our hospitality industry, their margins are 2%.
In order to close a nearly $1.2 billion shortfall in next year's budget, the mayor wants to lean on the wealthy. He argues many are not paying their fair share.
Our budget proposal asks the large corporations and the ultra-wealthy to chip in a little bit more so that working families are not burdened with higher property taxes or grocery taxes or garbage fees.
You know, it irritates me that whenever I hear Brandon Johnson speak, that he sounds more like a preacher than he does an actual politician. But since he's never run a business, since every job that he's had in his professional career, he's done some work for either working for a politician or being a teacher or a Cook County commissioner and now mayor, he doesn't understand that raising these taxes are going to drive businesses out of the city. When those businesses leave, that means that there are fewer jobs. That means there's more blight because you have more vacancies in these corporate suites. And then there's no more tax revenue coming from those businesses. You cannot have someone who has effectively lived off of the government for their entire lives and then think that they are going to have a business pro-growth mindset on how to run government. You can try and tax these corporations as much as you want, but the bottom line is that they can pick up their wares, they can close their offices, and they can move elsewhere. They can move to a geography that's going to be more business friendly, and then that area, that city, that town, that state is going to get that revenue, those jobs, and that additional spending. But he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. He's just saying what he's always been saying for his entire career. Blame the corporations, blame the super rich, blame the ultra rich. That's not the solution. There's got to be some shared sacrifice. Remember, the budget for the city of Chicago just 6 years ago in 2019, pre-COVID, was $10.6 billion. Today, he's offering a budget of $16.6 billion. Like I said in the intro, that COVID money that was propping up the city, that additional 66%, that money is gone and it's not coming back. The responsible thing to do would be to shrink the size of government to pre-COVID levels, and then you don't have to do anything like raise property taxes or grocery taxes or any of the other things that he's mentioned. But most of all, you don't have to overtax the very businesses that are propping up the city of Chicago. Let me know what you think. I could be completely off base. Maybe I am. I think Brandon Johnson is going to destroy the city of Chicago before the end of his term. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, a hype. Let's get the conversation going. Thanks for hanging out this long, and I'll catch you in the next one.